Hi guys. So this video is going to be about helpful people and how that relates to the detox process. So when I talk about detox and we're talking about taking this scientific approach to what's working in our life and what's not, it requires us to have a level of emotional detachment. When we go through changes, it's very important that we take a bird's eye view of our situation, an emotionally unencumbered way of looking at things. So you're going to look at your strengths and your weaknesses, and you're evaluating what needs to shift in your life, right? We're talking about this earthquake energy. We're talking about tectonic shifts, quick little things that shift you to your core. And it forces you to go inside. It forces you to ask yourself some really important questions. And when you do that, it's important not to let your self-worth get caught up in what your weaknesses are. We all come down here with these inherent skills and gifts and talents and knacks for things. And we also come down here with things to work on. That's the human experience. So it's important to keep that in mind when dealing with ourselves and with other people when we see their weaknesses come through or their strengths, that we're not putting too much emphasis on one or the other, that we're looking at everything with a clear vision, right? That's important. But I also want to talk about when you realize what your weaknesses are. You know, when those cracks are revealing to you what needs to change, when those cracks are allowing things to come to the surface that you had pushed down, that you not judge that you observe that, and if you need to seek out help, that you do that, right? There's this idea that pride can really block us, right? It serves us in some cases. It serves us to know our self-worth. It serves us to have pride to the point where we will not be disrespected. But if your pride is keeping you from getting the help that you need, then that's something that you should be looking at, and I encourage you to look at. When you are asking for help, it is a very humbling experience. It's a very vulnerable feeling, and you want to make sure that you're going to the right people, that you're choosing counsel wisely, that the people that you're listening to are for your growth, and that advice is coming from a place of positive growth, not from toxic connections or toxic mindsets. You want to make sure that what you're listening to and taking to heart is pure. And in doing that, when you're confident that you are making the right choice in counsel, it's easy to let those guards down, right? You know those people you can go to and say, hey man, I've got this problem, can I talk to you about it? And you know that that's a safe person. You feel so comfortable and you're drawn to that person when you need assistance. And it's this idea of humbling yourself enough, admitting your humanness enough to allow that to come to you. It's this, right? It's the allowing and the humbling and the asking. And when we come from that space, it's not admitting defeat, it's not admitting, or maybe it is, there's no shame in that, right? We're all trying to master certain skills. And if you're going to the person who has already mastered what you're trying to master, who has walked that path, or has a really healthy perspective about the thing that you're trying to accomplish or get or have, right? Then that's, the person that you're feeling comfortable with is the person that you need to go to. So the first person you think of is probably the person that you should be reaching out to, and not being afraid to do that. And so that's kind of what I want to say about that. I just wanted to send that message out. I was talking to a friend of mine a few weeks ago, and she was talking to me about her experience with vulnerability and how she had to open up to this whole group of strangers, and how shifting that was for her and how enlightening that was for her. And it reminded me that I'm not out of the woods yet, and that sometimes I need help. And it was a reminder for me to not let my defensiveness get in my own way, And that message has come up again, not just for me. I think it's anytime changes are happening, anytime somebody is going through changes, I think that's a byproduct. I think it's a natural way to react. So for whatever reason, that wanted to be shared. And so I hope that you found that part helpful. If you're able to receive that help. And so that's what I wanted to say about that. There's also this exercise that I wanted to share about the waterfall. And it's an exercise that came to me as a way to visualize what I'm talking about when I say getting in alignment with healing. So imagine you're walking through the woods and you come across this opening, and all of a sudden you feel the fresh air and you feel this wind and a little bit of moisture in the air, and you realize that there's a waterfall there. And you're looking at the waterfall and you're just thinking, oh, that would be so great to get under there, right? It would feel so amazing. But then you're thinking, I'm gonna have to walk around cold and wet for the rest of the afternoon. Maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'm gonna go up there and get my feet wet. Maybe I'm gonna go over there and just kind of splash around a little bit. So you do. You get under there and you get your feet wet and it feels really good. And maybe you splash it on your left side of your body and you're getting just a little bit of that water spray, and it feels amazing. But you're jipping the whole other side of your body. You're jipping yourself of this experience that could be so refreshing and healing for you. So then you decide to get under there, and you realize that the short-term consequence of walking around cold and wet, it's negligible, because this is an experience that you would be a fool to pass up, right? So you want to get under there and let the water wash over you. Let it get into your bones. Let it get under your skin and inside of you and underneath you and all around you. And just imagine that that waterfall is enveloping you, and it travels down into your belly, and it washes away any bad feelings, and it washes away any bad thoughts and anything that makes you feel less than, and it washes it away. So getting into the guts of what you're trying to release, getting into the guts of what you're trying to shift in your life, right? We know what we're building, we know why we're building it, we know what we need to build it, and now we need to figure out who's going to help us build it. And if we're in alignment with that, can you handle the short-term consequences of letting something go to reap the long-term benefits of it? And that's what I'm talking about with healing. It's just doing what you need to do to move yourself forward and reaching out for that help, getting into the alignment with the healing. Let that water wash over you and watch how your life changes. So I encourage you to try that exercise. I encourage you to reach out if it's something that you feel that you need some assistance in. So that's all I have for you. Bye, guys.